Hello, this is On the Loose with Steve, George, and Ricardo. I'm your host, Steve Izant, with my good friends and trekking buddies, George Smeltzer, Ricardo Resnicek. The legendary producer of 60 Minutes, Don Hewlett, one time asked, what kind of advice did he give to people like Mike Wallace, Rory Safer, and Dan Rather? And what he said was, tell me a story. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. Chronologically, we're 68 to 75 years old, but we're going trekking in Nepal. Our goal is the lower Everest Base Camp, some 17,564 feet high. So, will we make it? We hope so. Please stay with us because our next stop is the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu. See you there. Kathmandu. We'll see you there. After spending a few days in Kuala Lumpur, we landed in Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal, where we were met by our guide, Ram Kumar. We were to spend the next 2 days exploring the city while we acclimatized to the city's altitude of 4,300 feet. This is the edge of what's known as Tamil Square, although of course it's not square here. It is a long linear street, but lots of little shops. We've been trying to get some cash out of cash machines. George was lucky. Ricardo and I were not, but George has got the money, so we're looking for a place to have lunch and possibly some Kingfisher beer. We haven't been here very long, but we've already found the New Orleans Cafe. They have anything you might want, meat and fish, vegetarian, pasta, Asia, Thai. But most importantly, they have Everest beer. They don't seem to have Kingfisher, which was my favorite last time, but we're going to try and make do with Everest beer. This is the small size, by the way. We are being prudent since it's our first day here at altitude. Or is that attitude? No, first day of altitude. The first thing that becomes apparent, other than the dust, is just a calliope of confusion. With all the traffic, the roads are too small, they're not well paved. Everyone seems to be sharing the same space. And I'm not even going to talk about the electrical wires there on that particular pole. Here we are on one of the main drags. We got people, we got bikes, we got cars, we got motor scooters, we got folks wearing dust masks, all trying to share the same spot. Our hotel, a land of gracious living, is actually on this street, and in a moment when we turn in you'll see how it's just a little oasis hidden behind all this, as I said earlier, calliope of confusion of transportation. You gotta know that things are bad when even it's too narrow for the motorcycles to make any progress. Oh, and we got a traffic jam around the corner here. It's not a big one though. Alright, so here we are just walking along the street when all of a sudden, what do we see? The Mala Hotel. So we're off the main drag. This gentleman is taking care of making sure those people don't come in here. Oh, and there's the Casino Venus. Wow, we can hardly wait to check that one out. But meanwhile, let's check out the inside of the Mala Hotel. All right, thank you, sir. All right, just an oasis of tranquility. We're going to head over into the lounge. You notice the chaos in the streets. Well, the better hotels, and this is one of them, have a private backyard where you can kind of get away from all that chaos and confusion. Now, the air is still full of dust, but this is a very tranquil oasis, and the umbrellas aren't up yet, but later on this afternoon, perhaps we'll sit at that very table and have an Everest beer. It's my new favorite. Something happened to Kingfisher, so we're going to have to get used to drinking Everest. Well, I don't think we should tell the good folks at St. Cross, but Ricardo just got through with his daily devotional to Buddha. Spiritual devotions abound here, along with commerce. fresh from the fields. Maybe Whole Foods wants to come and buy here directly. It's Monday morning. The merchants are setting out their wares. Lots of Buddhist type of masks. We're on our way to an internet cafe, or to a cafe that has Wi-Fi, since we can't seem to get it working in our hotel, and we're desperate for news from home. Well, we're not desperate, but we would like to know. We've got some Buddhist flags up above. Morning devotionals. I don't know if this is a call to Rama or Vishnu or who, but the city's waking up. We're here this morning at the New Orleans Cafe. We had coffee already at the hotel, but we're really here for the free Wi-Fi because our hotel Wi-Fi doesn't seem to be functioning all that well. So another nice little hidden oasis. I'm not sure if that's a hotel above us, but that's some decorative woodwork. And there's our Ricardo, still trying to log on. George is off somewhere else, but we're all meeting at 9 o'clock at Mission Ecotrek so that we can complete the paperwork and get our passes for the national park. Well, what does a hard-working rickshaw driver do when he's tired? Just curls up and takes a nap. Okay, so I think if I was going to be any place where I did not want to have a job, it would be to be a Nepali electric lineman. Can you imagine trying to source the problem with that kind of wiring system? Would be a challenge, I think. Well, we're going down that alley. A friend of Ricardo's. That's her uncle. We're getting the tour, Ricardo and I. Early wait to see what's down this alley.
Not allowed for Nepalese to go outside.
Now, I could be cynical and say that this is a shrine to pigeons, but it's really only a shrine for pigeons, although somebody's put out some bowls for the pigeons to take a bath or drink, as the case may be. We're working our way deeper into, well, I don't think you'd call it Temple Square. That's located in Salt Lake City, Utah, but this certainly is a series of temples.
I have to make a small payment over there, and I'll join you.
Okay.
Hello. Photo, TikTok. Okay. Hello. What do we say every day? Okay.
So the proper name for this place is Dubar Square. And some of these temples date back to the 1500s, others 1600s, 1700s. But it was here that the kings came to be crowned and to issue their royal edicts. Well, you just don't see many of those these days. This is the god Shiva, which comes in many different forms, but this is the war form.
And this was built in 6th century, and the piece of stones were collected in the northern part of Ireland. And this is known as the god of justice. White in color, the black is the black.
But we've walked from one end to almost the other end of Dubar Square. We're going to go see now a young lady that I'll tell you more about in just a moment. Actually, I don't think we'll get to see her. We're only going to get to see where she's kept. So we're going in to see the living goddess. We can't see her afternoon From what I understand, she's selected when she's 4 years old by astrologers. So she's up there somewhere. I'm not sure what kind of education she received. It's also possible she's never been to McDonald's. I don't know if we get an appearance or not. Well, okay, I don't really think this is the Nepal version of Hard Rock Cafe, but it does look like that there's stores underneath and some kind of a restaurant or something on the second floor. I think I'll take my chances elsewhere. We've just come upon this ritual, and this is, I'm told, the end of it. Here we go with the same ceremony right near the end. We're now in the inside courtyard of the temple, and as I pan around here, I'm not quite sure all this ceremony would make me want to convert to Buddhism. Well, it is April the 1st. We are at the airport. It's about 5:25. The doors aren't open. We're all milling around. I would assume all these people are probably on the same flight we are on, which is flying from here to Lukla. Lukla is about 9,000 feet. And here we are now in the domestic terminal. We have Nepal Airlines, Sita Air, Yeti, one of my favorite. What else have we? Buddha Air. They don't have any engines on that plane. The people just meditate and levitate the plane. You knew that was coming, didn't you? Well, after the chaos and confusion of the other side, we have passed through to Nirvana. This is the waiting lounge. Susan, I don't see a Starbucks here. Or a Pete's Coffee. We were supposed to be taking off at 6 o'clock, but as you can see, we're at the top of the board there. Flight number, all flights, Sector Lukla, waiting for weather reports. That's W-E-A-R-H-E-R. That makes perfect sense to me. So we think the weather's good, but we're waiting for the weather reports. After 8 o'clock, these planes normally can't fly in there because of the winds. It's a tiny little airport where you have to fly kind of sideways through the mountains. At least that's what I've been told. Besides, I'm just trying to increase the sense of drama for all of you that are watching. But we are waiting for the weather reports. So this is our little plane. We've been advised to sit on the left-hand side. There's no assigned seating. Recorders are here. Flight recorders are there. That's good. Maybe that means they can't turn them off. We're getting on board here. So the thing I like about this little plane is you can see right into the cockpit. So if those guys are going to be turning off the transponder, we'll be the first to know. Alright, they started to rev the engines and there goes the bell, so we're taking off for Lukla. That morning haze, unfortunately, that you see out there, I think is a combination of dust and smog. We are off for Lukla. Now there's a mountain up there and there's a valley down below here. We seem to be flying up this valley. We made a couple of circles to get ourselves a little lower. Alright, we've landed. There are the mountains. There's some more mountains. And there's the town. Alright, so we just landed. We've had some breakfast. We've got some water. We've got our walking sticks out. We are now officially beginning our trek, we hope, to lower Everest Base Camp. Today's event is going to be very easy. We're about 9,000. We're actually hiking down to 8,000. And then tomorrow is going to be a long, hard day. One day at a time, they say. I think these little puppies have the right idea, including these two right here. Is that cute or what? We've got to have some cuteness in this film. I wonder if the McDonald's Corporation knows about this.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so these are prayer wheels. We're praying for good weather and no blisters on the trail, right? You guys can move forward here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you got to touch each one as you go by.
Ricardo was going to stay there.
I don't know what the guys in St. Cross are going to say when they see Ricardo doing this. So there's our man George. I don't know if he's going to have a successful trip though. He just walked right by that prayer wheel without even spinning the wheel. And you need to do that for good karma. So these little donkeys have probably done this 100 times, so they don't need anyone to tell them. Go across the bridge, just keep walking. This guy lucked out. All right, so here we go with our first suspension bridge. I don't know how many there are, but you can see it bounces a little. And let's see what kind of a gorge or valley we're going over. It's a pretty handsome, sturdy looking bridge, so I don't think we should have any qualms or concerns. All right, so it's a bit of a distance down, as you can see. But we seem to be doing just fine. No bouncing now. That's not fair. Well, we're almost at the end of our trek for the first day. It is a short day and mostly downhill. That's where we're going to be staying tomorrow. Or some of you start saying, well, we thought that we're going to have it rough. This is probably one of the nicer ones, and we go downhill from there. So next stop, our first stop for the night. All right. Well, we're at the end of day one. We got up at 4 this morning. We picked up at 5. We got to the airport at 5:30, and it was chaotic, as you saw on the film. Had an uneventful flight, which is the best kind, although the flight did, at the very end, sort of circle down and around a couple of times. None of us thought anything of it. We thought the guy was just going a little lower so he could prepare for the runway, and only later on did we learn that he'd been waved off. We weren't sure if there was a yak on the runway or what.
But Ram, the guide, was really thought it was a little bit harrowing.
He did.
Ram thought it was harrowing. It's the most dangerous airport in the world. And when the guy's coming in for a landing and the guy that's going like this says that,
You have to go
he has a
go
very
back.
limited amount of room
Exactly.
to make a big turn in because you're below the ridge line. You can't even see the sky.
But we
I
survived.
had to clean
We
my
did
pants
survive.
afterwards,
We did survive.
but they're better now.
Anyway, so we started out at Lukla, which was around 9,000 feet. We actually went down a couple of 100 meters. And George, where are we now? What's the name of this little town?
Facting is the name of the place, about 4-hour hike from Lukla. And from here we'll walk, we'll pick up the 200 meters that we lost today, and for about 2-3 hours, and then we have a really steep climb up into Namche Bazaar.
About 1,800 feet, I think, in terms of elevation climb tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And all at the very end. And Ricardo, this is your first time on the trail with us
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah. And Ram, at the beginning, he said, there will be any problem, it'll be a piece of cakes.
Piece of cakes.
Piece of cakes.
And it may have been a piece of cakes. I don't know about my slice. I think it was a little slower than everybody else's, but somehow I managed. Had a good porter who stayed back with me and checked to be sure I didn't fall off the cliff.
So that's our first day. It was a good day. Tomorrow's going to be the challenge, and maybe actually one of the harder days that we have to face. So next time you see us, it's going to be early in the morning, and we'll be on our way to Namche Bazaar.
Up.
with no roads in or out of this valley. Everything has to be carried in. They do have a helicopter that flies up to Namche Bazaar, but it's a small one, so it's really not used for transportation. So the lighter stuff, carried by guys like that. You've already seen the mules that carry perhaps the heavier stuff, but when you look at all this corrugated sheet metal for the roofs and timber for the doors and walls and so on, that all had to be carried in. The rocks, fortunately, they were able to find from here. So it's the beginning of day 2. Can't see the sun yet in this deep valley because we're taking a Diamox, which is a diuretic, in addition to helping expand the oxygen for our blood cells to accept oxygen. It's also a diuretic, so we were up more times than we wanted to count last night. We're on our way to breakfast in that little place right there, and then after that we hope to take off at about 8 o'clock. Well, the sun's finally come over the mountain. Most of the groups have left. Our intrepid little band here, yeah, he's actually lifting. That's 2 of our bags. I don't know what kind of compression that puts on the neck overall. Is Ricardo on the way? I think, Ricardo, are you on the way? Ricardo's on the way. We're ready to begin another day. Day number 2, probably one of the toughest ones for the second half. Stay with us and see if we can climb the mountain. So our trek on day 2, we've been told, is about 8 hours. The first 4 to 5 are fairly simple. We'll be going up through that valley. The last 3, however, though, we do about 1,800 feet in that last 3 hours, so that may be a bit, but we're at least going to knock off as quickly as we can the first 5 hours worth of trekking. Well, I'm not sure how clear that's going to be through the haze, but that's one tall mountain. And we don't have to go up to the top, but we are going to follow the valley up and, I understand, go near along the base. So stay with us as we continue our upward quest. So we've fallen in behind this group of oxen. Are these oxen? What kind of animals are these?
Yaks.
Yaks.
Yaks and cow cross.
A cross yak. A cross-dressing yak. Anyway, they are sure-footed. These are loaded with, actually looks like trekker's bags, and they're heading up the hill, probably faster than I would do. Known as Kamsadu. We don't have to climb up there, fortunately. You can tell that I'm a little out of breath because we did just make a little bit of a climb. So while I'm recovering, we'll switch over and take a couple of pictures. Well, that's the end of part 1 of On the Loose with George, Steve, and Ricardo. Thanks for watching. If you were sent a link and want to watch part 2, go ahead and click on it now, or go to YouTube. In the search window, put Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, then a space, then I-Z-A-N-T, and there you should find On the Loose part 2. Again, thanks for watching part 1.